Hello, everyone. Sorry, my voice is gone this morning. Hello, everyone. Um, we'll be back in Houdini today, of course. So I've been working on this lantern for the last, I'd say, couple of weeks, a bit more than that. I spent last week, Friday, organizing the nodes a bit. Not all of them, but I've kind of set up, let's say, the first area of the network as a lost for word today. But basically, I built a network for the roof, and I set it up in a way that if I want to use it in future projects, I can. So what that looks like is this. Just quickly view that. Now the aim of the game for this one is if I wanted to use this in future networks, I know that red means I can control it, and purple means I can optionally utilize that thing. So in this case, the control controls the amount of segments, so the resolution. In this case, I think 8 is fine. And I can also control the amount of segments in the vertical section, so to speak. And then I can choose what type of pattern I want to extrude in. This is predominantly set up for selecting every second one. Put that back to 16 so I can actually show that. So yeah, that selects every second one, but if we go to 4, that selects every fourth one, and so on and so forth. The pattern you get will be or is determined by the amount of segment you have. So in this case, because I have even number of segments, I can only play with the pattern with even numbers. So for the most part, if you go above a certain number of segments, you don't get the best result. But that's just the nature of the beast. If I have a different number, I will obviously get a different result. So that is that. This network was a lot longer. I've condensed it down, removed unnecessary nodes, and just did a general organization, just so I can work with it in an easier way. I could have left it as it was functional, but I wanted the option to utilize this in a new network. So that was something I kept in mind while reorganizing it. Now for today, we'll probably take a bit of a look at organizing nodes as well, just due to the fact that I think it's a valuable skill to have, to be able to reorganize your nodes in a way that'll make sense to future you. Granted, the best policy is actually building it in the correct way to begin with. But quite frankly, before this lantern, I've spent a year not working in Houdini, so this has been a learning curve. So due to that, well, quite honestly, I just haven't had a chance. I finally catch a stream. Welcome! I'm happy to have you here. How are you? So, and how's it, well, actually on the same topic, how's it that I haven't been able to catch stream? Is it a time zone thing, or what's been up with that? But yeah, bottom line is about, how do I put this? Not, my brain is actually dead today. Okay, so I was talking about organizing the nodes and how important it is to actually organize them in the correct way to begin with. Again, as I said, I haven't worked in Houdini for a year, so diving back in has been tough. So due to that, I've used this project to kind of brush up on all the skills I used to know in Houdini. At least the majority of them. I haven't really used booleans for this project, but we will be taking a look at booleans today. So yeah, bottom line is due to not using it for a while, my organization isn't up to standard, quite frankly. So I've been kind of taking a look at organizing it a little bit. I'll most likely do the bulk of organization off stream because it's quite boring to watch, even though you do learn skills by watching that as well. It's too early. I'm usually on my second dream at this time. Oh no, I'm sorry. What's your time zone? What time is it there? It's currently 8 here, so it's not too bad. It is very warm though for 8 a.m. It's already almost 30 Celsius. Don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Right, so aim of the game. Let's get our concept open. That's going to be 5 pure if that would be insanely useful. Right, so let's shrink that down a little bit. UK. Oh wow. Wow, now that's 6 a.m. for you guys, isn't it? I think it's 6 a.m. That's a terrible time. Hats off to you for showing up for the stream at that time. I do get up at round about 6, probably 5:30, but I know that's not the norm, especially not for our industry, because I don't know, we tend to have night owls in this industry. Right, so I want to add like a pattern at the top, but I don't know if I want to do specifically like this specifically the diamond shape. I think I want to do my own twist on it because at the end of the day, I don't want this to be one-to-one. I have taken heavy inspiration from this concept. Disclaimer, I do not know who the owner of this project is, or I say concept, but it's not really a concept. I assume it's a 3D model, or was. I don't know who the creator is. I found it off Pinterest, couldn't find it. So I'm not claiming any credit for this work, it's somebody else's. I'm just using it for inspiration. So I've been leaning heavily on this concept for the first while, just till I have my network in place. But once the network's in place, I'll be altering mine to be more unique, especially in terms of the roof and the ornaments on top of it. That's too close to the original for my personal taste. So we'll be taking a look at that. Bottom line is, I want something different for this pattern. I'm not sure quite what I want to do with the pattern though. I could potentially, I do want it to be elongated, so I do want that element of it, but I just don't want it to be so, let's play with it and see what we can get. I think our base is probably going to be similar to, that'll give us a round shape though, if I do it similar to the flower. I could also draw a curve. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my normal approach of using a line. Those of you that have watched my streams before will know I'm a very big fan of the lines in Houdini. And so I'm just going to cheat and quickly, don't need a voice. Do I need a voice right now? I don't think I do. Let's just grab this and move it off to the side. Now this is going to be part of the pedestal at the top and the bottom and the floor. So I'm going to move out in that general direction. Generally speaking, I would want to organize this further, but I've not done that yet. Where's this going? I want to see if I can move this area further up, because this is the start of it all, so I want this kind of up the top. And I did say I was gonna try and not spend too much time on the organization, so I'm going to try and keep that in mind. Right, so line, come on. So a pedestal specific I'm talking about would be this one. That is that. Now, I've got, let's see what I've got actually. Okay, so to explain my thought process here and why I've kind of frozen up a bit is I want the pattern to move with the pedestal at the top and the roof, etc., 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 because I've got a control at the bottom that's determining the scale of everything basically. So if we look at that, it scales accordingly, right? So I don't want my pattern to break if I do that. So that means I need to add the pattern in before the control comes in. Now the problem I have with that is as follows. This control is manipulating these top nodes over here, which is on the main node. So that, well, the main node for the top and the bottom. So the problem with that is I can't add this pattern in before because quite honestly, how do I put this? There's no way to connect it above the node that's actually operating the thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this control around. So this one is referencing inner radius. I'm gonna probably put that at 1 and delete channels. Let's see. Okay. Then I'm going to take, I believe it was referencing width, so I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it into the transform instead, and that's going to be in the X and Z scale. And no, but that's not going to work, is it? That's not going to work because our top and our bottom is scaling independently. Okay, wait. Let's keep that as it is. The inner radius is determined by cylinder generator 1. Is that, yeah, okay, it's referencing this. And that is referencing the control down at the bottom. I did not keep in mind what I wanted to do when I created this network. Right, so. Outer radius is referencing inner radius. So these two are connected, and that's connected to the control at the bottom. Fantastic. How are we going to manipulate that? The reason I don't want to put a separate transform on the pattern itself is it's going to... I wonder if that is actually a problem. I'm probably overthinking this. Let's put it on the pattern itself and see what we get. Maybe it's not so bad. Right, so quick thing, I want to line down the center of this, so I'm going to probably subdivide. At how am I going to specify the middle? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I'm actually going to increase the amount of segments because that will give me the line I need. So I specifically want to use that line regarding how we're going to isolate the selection to that. We'll see. So body fill, yeah, sure, we'll do it after that. I'm not going to do it after the copy and transform, so this will be a Boolean or merge of some sort. So I'm working backwards here, but let's do Boolean, and that's going to be subtract. So that's going to be that one. Regarding the pattern itself, we basically wanted to copy along the curve. So that is going to be curve something. I know I used to use this node, but for the life of me, cannot remember. Copy to curves. Houdini is brilliant, naming is brilliant, so we now know it's copy to curves. Right, so we've currently not got a shape to copy to it. So that's going to be Houdini is big brain modeling. It is, and also I'm quite far into this project, so you'll notice I lose track of everything because my organization, as I mentioned, hasn't been on point, and I've not had enough coffee. I've just not had enough coffee. But it is what it is. It's very fun though. I absolutely adore playing in Houdini, and I do call it playing because that's what it feels like. Because you're constantly trying things, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it breaks the entire network, and you have to figure out why. And I absolutely thrive on that, which is a bit contradictory because it's, and you know that theory about left brain versus right brain, right brain being creative, left brain being, well, quite frankly, not creative, more logical, so to speak. And I'm more left brain than right brain, so I'm technically in the wrong industry, but I'm loving it, so it's fun. Okay, so that's going to be about, it's going to be attribute Bob, because I've got to copy this part of it over, so that's going to go into there. Let's be lazy actually, I'm going to steal it from somewhere else. Because I have talked about attributes a lot, Bobs quite a lot, and I've demoed them quite a lot. So. Right. So. Let's see what we can do with this. I do want it to have some sort of elongated shape. So let's start off with actually moving this down. I do actually want a kind of symmetrical. Can I move both? Probably not. Inconvenient. Very inconvenient. We could do something like that. I do think we do not have enough samples though. So, can I get more? Maximum segment length. Let's do that. Or not. Let's see what we're working with. So we can actually see the points. And the alternative is we resample after the crop. Let's see. It's not doing anything. What about down? Hey, that's why. Let's delete references on that. Delete channel, sorry. And actually now we can increase. Fantastic. We've got more samples. So the reason that wasn't working is because this was copied from the roof. And as you know, down in the control, the roof is, let me just actually view the right thing so you can see everything. The roof has a control built into it that adjusts the amount of segments, and that is all the way up here. So if we actually look at that, that'll be a resolution. But you see how that is controlled. So that's why it wasn't working. It was basically overwriting things. Used Houdini at uni, but only for VFX and simulations. They didn't teach any modeling, unfortunately. That is very unfortunate. I actually have very little to no knowledge about the VFX and simulation side. It is a goal of mine to learn it, but quite frankly, I haven't gotten a chance to. But I would love to learn that side of it as well. My mentor, the one that taught me Houdini, doesn't do VFX. He works in the VFX industry, but he doesn't do VFX. But I really like the procedural side of it. So he said, well, okay, I'm going to teach you how to model in it. So that's been really interesting. Or that was really interesting. So yeah, no, I think it's an underutilized tool. It is a bit niche, but it's absolutely brilliant for creating environments relatively quickly. You can build one network and do like 5 different buildings out of the same network, or 10 or 100, depending on how many parameters you can edit. Which is kind of the point of doing the lantern this way. I want to be able to edit it down the line and repurpose it and have fun with it, basically. So I don't really know what shape I want. I do not know what shape I want. copy that across, we're just going to get like this shape, that shape. And that's fine, but that is quite boring. Let's actually change it to, maybe B-spline would be better. I do want that point to be down at the bottom. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Don't know where somewhere is, but we're getting somewhere. Too odd. Don't know what I want to do. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of mirroring it across, because I'm finding myself very limited for how far I can edit this node. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy to the left, but also up. So that way I can actually take this to the side and start altering the entire shape. And then I'm going to do what? I'm going to create a mirror. No, if I can spell that'll be great. That'll help. Let's do that. Mirror it across, and I also wanted to mirror up. Can't do both. That is unfortunate. Right, so we're going to mirror again, because that will also give me a better idea of what I'm working with shape-wise. So that's not going to be in the X direction, that's going to be in the Y direction. That is not quite correct either. Let's see. Can I do it in the negative direction? No, I cannot. Can we move it up? We can. Brilliant. Okay, so that's actually not too bad. That is not too bad. So, I do want that to go further out. I'm going to move this inward a bit because I want a sharp point there. And I want to round this area out. Do I? No, the opposite. Let's do that. Maybe something like that. That's fun. Right, and then moving this off to the side a little bit because I'm getting a little lost. So this, quickly going to label it, is our pattern for the pedestal. I call it a pedestal because initially I only had it at the bottom, but it also is the roof, so naming is interesting, and yeah. Pedestal pattern. Brilliant. Right, so that is that. Now the next problem I'm going to have is my points are overlapping. So I'm probably going to have to do a join. And my point numbers aren't in order. So let's start with a join. And let me know if the music is too loud. I adjusted it slightly. Right, join. That's doing a whole lot of nothing. Wrap last and keep this only connected. Connect closest ends. Wires. That's doing a whole lot of nothing. Why is it not working? It actually did join the top and the bottom. It just didn't join the middle, so to speak. So what else can we use? Let's see if we can adjust it on the mirror itself. We're going to consolidate, see. That doesn't do much. Wrap Okay, so that fixed it. 0, 2, 80, 100. So it does flip at that point. It works fine from there up to there, and then it breaks, and then it goes. By breaks, I mean specifically the point number, right? So maybe we can do a sort. Sort will probably not fix it though. I choose to be optimistic. Well, let's actually see if it matters. So let's change that to an edge. So that's going to be dissolve. And that is not correct either. No, it's not dissolve flat edges. What is it? Curve from edges. Ah, got it. Right. So we're going to be optimistic and say this is going to work even though the point number is incorrect, because technically you wanted to go from 0 to whatever the highest number is, and you want it to be in order. In this case it's not. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So if it works, brilliant, we're going to stop there. If it doesn't work, then we're going back to the drawing board. So that's going to be curve from edges, and we're on orange, not curve, because our normals are probably bonkers. Let's actually view the normals. So yeah, the normals are going weird, so we can do that so it actually follows, and then we can do a sweep. Sweep that one. It's gonna break, do not worry, we need to put it on as a square. Why not? Need to remove all of these. Now this is a sharp angle, so it is struggling a bit, but granted we're probably going to scale this down drastically. So that should be all well and good, and I'm going to rotate it. So that is going to be, is it all? Yeah, so let's put that at 45. And we don't need this many edges on it, so let's change that to 4. Even less is 1. The answer is 1. So that's going to be that, and then we can decide whether we want maybe a bit more width. But I'm worried about this edge there. Let's see if we can adjust. Oh no, not that much. Let's do. Okay, that point breaks. So that is the highest we go. Let's tweak it a little bit. Okay. That's about as much as I'm getting there. That is all well and good. Right, so next thing I want to see is whether I want to actually scale it along the curve. I'm just going to see what each area is doing. So that is left side, that is both sides. Let's change that to Bezier. See. I'm making a mess of it. Let's keep it like that for now. What we could potentially do is sweep it first and then mirror it, but it's sometimes a bit clunky. Now this is facing the wrong way. It's going up. We would probably want it to go horizontal. So let's transform that. Rotate it 90, I think. So that's going to be on that axis. What is it? That's Z. Brilliant. I hope, really hope that is thick enough to actually look like something. But we'll work with it if it's not. So that's going to be in there. Let's target points, target quotes, copy chooses, not that one. Oh, we still need to specify. We want the middle one. We want the middle one. So Now, there's two ways we could approach this. We could, up to blasphemy, but we could, in theory, go and select each edge and create a group for it. I'm personally not a fan of manual selection in I've lost my train of thought, but I'll get back to that. If this is for a game, do you think about poly count when making it, or is it something you could change as it is procedural? You could change it. For example, right? Let's see what we're working with here. I actually don't want to view that. The only area that's relatively high poly right now is probably this piece and those pieces. The rest is relatively low, generally speaking. This one is a bit higher as well, but you probably need it for that type of shape. You could bake it onto a plane. You could bake these archways onto a plane, and it would be technically fine for at a distance if you're viewing it like that, which you most likely will, depending on the size of the lantern, right? But yes, it is something I can change as well. If we look at this ornament on the top, that is this one, I believe. Let me just double check. Roof ornaments, yada yada yada. So that's that one. I can reduce the amount of segments. Granted, it at some point it starts to get too blocky, right? So you'd maybe want, I don't know, 16 at least. You could further reduce this manually. So you could reduce it further, but I think that's fine even for a game because you don't want it to be too blocky, otherwise it's kind of gonna look bad. For the cylinder, again, you can definitely go lower. You can probably go, I don't know, to 6, and then reduce that to 8. Regarding the total poly count at the moment, we can actually look at that. But let's reduce the top, for example, as well, so that the rooftop thingamajig is here. So we can reduce that. Play around with it till you get a shape you like. This one is going to require more topology just because it is a bigger part of the network, right? As a low poly to then have a high poly baked into this perfect, right? Yes. Yes, it is. And you can redo the network or adjust the network so that, I'm wondering what's going on here, but we'll take a look at that in a second. I probably broke something. Let's just quickly undo that. No, we'll see what it is in a second. So you can make the high and the low this way, as long as there's not sculpted elements. Because you can go to the end of the network and add a bevel just to smooth out the edges. You can subdivide it all, and you'll have it all pretty and nice and high poly as well. So you can do both. You can use this network for both your high poly and your low, and you can even do your UVs, though I do not recommend inside Houdini, but I didn't recommend it for the reason that Houdini doesn't really, because it's designed to be procedural, right? So it's not perfect for manually packing UVs. It'll pack it for you, and perhaps not to the standard you would want them for a game. But you can use it to cut your UVs. For example, all of these sweeps, because these are all sweeps, come with UVs perfectly straight in built into them. So that's fun. You don't have to manually go and cut each of these, because I know for myself, I absolutely hate straightening UV islands for sweep type objects, because they're generally difficult to straighten unless you use unit eyes. Now, I don't know why. Okay, I've got to figure it out. The reason it's clipping is because if we go down to our control here, the extrude amount is just too much. So that is not over here. It is up here. So let's quickly fix that because that's driving me crazy. That's going to be extrude distance. just take that in a little bit. It's not ideal. We probably would want to move the roof higher up to fix that. Okay, I'll fix that in a bit. Because I would want the roof to be higher, right? Because it's currently inside the pedestal at the top, so I'll fix that in a bit. Let me actually make a note of that. Fix roof placement. So I'll do that after I've gotten the curve sorted. So that's roof placement. I'm not sure at what point that broke, but I probably played around with it and messed with it too much. Because at this point it's not getting placed yet, so the break is at this point. Okay, got it. Right, so curve. Where is my curve? Right, so that's all well and good. Copy to curves. We need curves to copy to. Oh, that was where I was. I was at this edge in the center, and the fact that I do not want to manually select this edge. Right. So we can do this in one of two ways. We could potentially use a boundary box, or what else could we do? Boundary box is probably the easiest, so let's do that for now. If I think of it, let's say, I'm going to say more procedural, but more procedural way, we can adjust later, so that's going to be group. And let's see, it's going to be edges. And this is going to be pedestal. What have we called this? Pedestal pattern placement. Pattern placement. Fantastic. Right, so that is that. Then we obviously need a way to actually specify what it's selecting. We could do boundary region. We could do normals, but the problem with normals is, honestly, you just can't see it. It's better for things that are completely square. So 90-degree corners. It's better for 90-degree corners. So we are going to keep our boundary region. And then this size needs to be determined by the size of the pedestal. So let's quickly go down. That's going to be 3 channels. So I don't copy it. I copied fine across the other one. Why is it being so annoying today? Okay, so that's going to be that, and we're going to paste relative reference, and this is going to be multiplied by 2. No, let's be safe. Let's do it multiply that by 3. So that's going to be times 3. Brilliant. I do want my geometry spreadsheet, so we cannot left to right. Come on. Hopefully it's not going to crash. Right, fantastic. So I maximize zero place frame. Stream has perhaps crashed. Let me check. Stream is still online on my end. I was worried about the software crash though, unless it's in YouTube. That could be. Let me check that as well. We're back there. Okay, fantastic. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. No, it actually crashed everywhere, it seems. Hello, Fall. How are you? Seems like we had a crash. Not sure what caused it. Could be my Wi-Fi, but actually, while we're at it, let's check that before I get back into things. Because this is the time of day where Wi-Fi starts dropping. Everyone gets to work, everyone has their early morning meetings, and then the bandwidth just crashes. So let's just see what it is. No, that's actually fine. Upload is fine. Okay. But yeah, I don't know if you guys will be able to let me know, but I'll periodically check whether the stream is still live, just in case. Right, so height. Technically, let's go with pedestal height, copy parameter, and paste. Fantastic. Right, so that's obviously wrong. I am going to split left to right again. Close this one down because for some reason I can't see what the group is actually selecting here. So that's going to be close that one, and no, I do not want all of these. Render view, composite view, geometry spreadsheet, etc. And then I'm going to split top to bottom so we can get all our data basically. Right, fantastic. We need to be an OBJ. That's going to be the lantern. Okay, fantastic. Now this is too high, obviously. So the center is going to be down. It's it that way. And then the height is going to be times 0.5. Right, so the aim of the game is to now check, but this actually stays within the parameters when this scales, and it doesn't. Right, okay, so the reason that's not working is the initialized boundaries is not procedural. It's determined by the original scale, so that's not going to work. Okay, so I tried to cheat the system, and cheating the system never works, guys. Let me actually test and see whether we're still live. We're all good to go. Fantastic. Right, so let's see. Initialize does not work, so we're going to do, let's zero that out. Let's do that 0, and this is also going to be 0. Right, and that's going to be minus 0.5. Maybe? No? That's a procedural either. We're going to have to base position on height. So let's zero that out and go grab the height. So that's going to be control, pedestal height pedestal, copy parameter. We're going to go into group. So base relative reference, and then that goes up. That's fine. Let's try 0.25. No, 0.1. 0.5, 0.25. Well, that's annoying. That's an absurdly low value. Going the wrong way. Minus 0.5. Right, let's see. That's going to be height pedestal. Brilliant. It actually works. I'm surprised. I'm happy, but I'm surprised. So let's do that, and the control works, and that is all well and good. This is named correctly. So we've got that set to edges. That's all good. Now we're going to copy that into not the boolean. We want it in the target curves to copy to. And then for the boolean, we'll actually use the area before that. But let's see if the curve works. Oh, wow. Points. All right, figured out what it is, why it hasn't worked. So that needs source group, curve group. I thought I named this one. Group name. Let's copy that and paste it into there. See if we can actually find the group now. It's not actually a point group though. Guess from group. Okay, so the reason it's breaking is it's currently set to edges, the selection, but the name I'm using to copy is copy to curves. Edges on curves. So the reason it's not working is because it's not a curve. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do what? I want curve from edges. Curve from edges. That one. Brilliant. And that's going to be that group. We've now got a curve. And there we go. Now this is obviously wrong. So what is the normals doing? The normals are facing probably outwards. Why aren't you showing normals? Does it not have normals? That is very good. It doesn't have normals. Right, so we're going to do orient along curve. I don't know whether this will give normals by default. It does. So that's not ideal either. Let's see. Maybe if we place it after the thing. No. Alright, so I still have normals at this point. I lose it when I go to curve from edges. So. Okay, that's a group. Don't necessarily want to do that, so that's fine. Ah, okay, that's working. Now this is obviously too big. That is part of the problem. Let's scale this down before the sweep. So I don't want it influencing the sweep. So that's going to be a transform. And we probably want it to be that much smaller. And then Y is the additional rotation. Curve normal X, Y, whatever, transform using curve. So what I don't like at the moment, ignoring the fact that it's the scale of the sweep is incorrect, that's fine, is it's actually not in the center. And it's not actually following the curve's normals. Let's do a resample. I just want to see what that is. Okay, but we're getting clutter here. So let's move those to the side. Let's move those. The Boolean we're not too worried. I'm actually going to delete that for now, just because that's not the main issue right now. And then I'm going to move this up just so I can actually see what I'm doing, because we're getting a cluttered mess in the center here. And obviously I'll do a proper cleanup later. That is a later problem. That will be a later problem. So let's move that. Fantastic. The orient along curve is fine, but it's not working as I would like it to. So I'm just quickly going to move that further down. Now the curve from edges is fine. Let's see what we do want to do. I'm not sure where I want to place the resample, but let's start here. Now, for those of you that don't know, a resample is basically like a subdivision. Right, so that's not just a curve. It has to be after that because we're not for a curve there. Right, let's sample that one. And then orient along. Does it actually give me normals across these? It does. And then let's see what we get from there. We technically don't want any on the corners though, but that's fine. And the direction is wrong, we've got too many samples. Right, so that's all fixable. So we're going to change the segments. Let's do 3 for now. And this is going completely bonkers because of the ones on the edges and corners. So we could probably delete this. In the orient long curve, you want to set the N as the x-axis. Scroll down. No, unfortunately not. Oh no, that's the target up vector. Sorry, that's not going to be... Hold on, okay, we want to set the N as the... Oh yeah, now I remember. I remember actually. Where is it? Target up vector, target type. There was a thing where you could specify... Yeah. So the x-axis, and that's going to be N. And N. Not that one, scroll more, this one, hopefully. So, gonna put that as N. Come on. Caps lock is on, of course. No. But that's point. Let's say. Do we want up? I'm gonna mess with this for a bit, but I don't think that's gonna work now. Constellation criterion, it's up criterion. Okay, ignoring that, let's quickly fix something else, because part of the problem is the orientation of the actual thing. So let's do 90. Hello. Transform. 90. No. Right. Not that one. Well, we'll do that one, but we're actually going to change the orient bucket. One of these needs to be up. So that one needs to be up, probably. For the life of me, I cannot remember how I used to use this. Let's see. Let's see what else we could try. Let's get a new orient block curve. Do that, and then we're going to reconnect it to that point. Not orient. It needs to connect to the curve from edge section. Yeah. Needs to connect to that point. So that is still working. Which part did I break? Copy to curves. Yeah. I've lost the plot. So that is there and that goes into that. Fantastic. Got that. Finally. Right, so that is what the default values are. So we can actually just rotate it. So that's going to be not that one. Doesn't actually do anything. Interesting. Curve group. It's not a curve group. Just want to see if I can actually get something to change on this. Let's do some thinking. Let's do some thinking. So, we know for a fact that firstly this is in the wrong direction, right? That we do know. It's copying to the point on the corners, which is also a problem. I believe it's a point on the corner. Let's view this from the top. Right, so so. No, that's not working. Let's turn that off. Does nothing. Right. Transform. Zero that out. And then let's actually go back to perspective so we can see what's going on. The part that's bothering me is it's going lowering down as well, which is very weird. Let's see what this rotation. That rotates in that direction. This rotates in that direction. So that's going to be 19. Never use copy to curves, but copy to points should work with in and out. That's a brilliant idea. We're going to try that one. We're definitely going to try that one. But one of our other problems is it's copying to the corners, which I suspect. Well, it's still going to do that for copy to points. Copy to points. So that's going to be your guide drop points to copy with. You probably don't need the curve for this. No, but copy point should work in up, so we're going to do that. And we're not going to use. Okay, we do need the orient. So the orient is technically functional. I'm just not sure why it's giving me an extra point. So we are going to do that. At the resample, we're going to do what with. We don't technically want ones on the corners there. So let's see. That is fine. I want to get rid of all the corner ones. How are we going to do that? How we can do that? So what we could do, could we do that though? Let's see. Transform using the no, in attribute. So that's all fine. I think it was probably a copy to curves that you used before. Just because in the copy to points we don't really have an up and in to adjust. I'm just not sure why it's not working, because it is weird. Because none of the values I'm changing on the copy to curves is actually doing anything. So if we do that, we grab that one, and we actually view that. Now this is the right up direction, right? But let's see. So that is fine. Our problem here lies with the double on the corners. So what are we going to do to get rid of the doubles? Because technically we do need them. Do we? We don't. I think. Oh, you have the checkbox transform using curve turned off. Copy to curves. I wonder if these will now work. You are absolutely brilliant. You are brilliant. So let's do that. So we've got the additional rotation, which is brilliant. We've also, oh, that's in copy. Yeah, that is in copy to goods. So that's fine. Attribute. Right. So that works. Now we need to get rid of the extra ones on the corners, because let's just see what it does if I manually delete them. I'll figure out a procedural way in a second, but for now let's just manually get rid of them. just so we have something to work with. So that's going to be that. We're going to select points. Probably dissolve. Probably. Not dissolve. I think. Hello. I did select you guys. Let's undo that. So that is after the resample. We are going to select them, and it is going to be points. So let's do. That's no longer a curve. So technically, we need to use copy now. In theory. Hello. What did I do wrong? Let's see. So that is target points to copy 2. So that is fine. We do need this one. So let's grab that one. Okay. We can't really use an orange long curve though. If we do that. What are we gonna do? Okay, so let's do. We've got the blast, and that does give us the points. So there should be a way to add. Let's see what we can do. We want to group our range 1 out of 2 and use that group in the copy. Yes. I think it's one of those scenarios where I've just been staring at you too long. Why did I get this menu? I do not want this menu. Can I close it? Options. No. We'll move it off to the side, it's fine. So you want to regroup my range every second one. Yes. Before I do that though, I'm firstly going to see if I can do it on, not do it on my own if I can. Nah, let's go with what you said. Let's do that. So that's going to be group arrange. A group arrange I did also use on the roof. It is a useful node. It is an underutilized node. Right, so group arrange, and we're going to skip the blast and go to the resample. Let's get rid of that. And I do actually want more points because I want 2 along those. So it's going to be that. And now it's going to be technically every third in theory. Alright, let's see. And we need to put that to points. Let's play around with the value. Why is it not selecting on the corner there? Let's play around with the value. So the end, that does a whole lot of nothing. Okay, let's see about the 0. We don't want to select 2, I don't want to select 1. Or we can do it this way and adjust the value. So we can do it one of 2 ways, right? So we can select 2 and skip 1, or we can do the reverse and invert it. 1 out of 2. So this will work best with, let me put that at 1. If we have the value of this, then that'll work well, in theory. In theory. I wonder why it's unconnected though, because technically it shouldn't be. But you're right, let's try fuse. You're right, let's try fuse. Let's do fuse, and then let's check the point numbers. 0, that's 1. I think that's just 1. Okay. Thanks for your help, by the way. Right, so that's that, and that's group. Right, that works up to a point. Up to a point. For some reason, it does skip one. Okay, so that works. So we can technically use this in invert group. But I do want another sample there, so let's see if we can make it work this way. So this is selecting every second one up to a point. Shows at 3, and you were right again. It was in fact a fuse. So we've got that working. We technically want the inverse of this. I wonder if we do 3 and do that one as 1. That'll give us the inverse. No such luck. Okay, we'll work with it. So that's going to be, let's do what? Copy to, we can use the copy. Can we use the copy to curves and isolate to a specific group? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Curve group. Just get rid of this. We can actually see what's going on here. Let's see. We want to invert it. We want to invert it, and that we're going to call this, actually give this a name. So that's going to be, I don't know. Let's just keep it group 1 for now. And then I'm going to dissolve. Maybe delete. Let's try resolve. Dissolve selected, and that's going to be that one. No. No, 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 no. So, what else do we try? Let's do delete, and then let's do delete there. It's not a delete. Let's see. Curve group, source group. It's not that one. It's not that one. Which group it is? Set your points. That is all well and good. I wonder if there's an invert that can actually work with this group invert. Group name, and that's going to be group 1. Brilliant, we've got that. We've got it. Okay, that's good. Okay, this music is driving me insane. Let's skip that one. Right, so we've got that. Now, for argument's sake, just to check if it is actually working, let's do a copy to points and then do a source group. No, target points, group 1. Right, brilliant. That does work. But we do lose our normals, which is not ideal. That is not ideal. Because we do still want normals. So if we view the normals on this, we can see we no longer have normals. But what if we do the orient long? Do we still have orient long curves? We do not, so that is part of the problem. Let's orient that. Alright. Now we want, part of the problem now is the object isn't at the center of the world. If we actually look at this, we can see it's not. So let's just do a match size. Why not? Let's do a match size. I think it's a match size. Yeah, it's a match size. I just want to center this in the world. So center X Is it min max? No, it's not that one. Let's keep that centers. It is on the. It is actually on the Z. It says. Why aren't you doing anything? It's got 2. It's got 2. Brilliant. Okay. So that's working. That's working. Now, in theory, it should have worked. Or not. Because the reason it's not working is because if we view our points here, it's copying to these 2, which is fine. That is fine. But they're now overlapping. So technically, what we want, I'm going to try something. And I can't really explain what I'm going to try because my brain is not it's not working for explaining. Bottom line is that. So let's, instead of doing that, let's resample this and do. No, but that's going to throw it off because the normals. What if we do group our range? We do every second one. And we resample this more so we have more points. So if we get every second one, we avoid that one, it will take that one and that one. No, we need one more there. Let's see. Skip that one, skip that one, then I'll skip that one, and that one. But I wanted to skip the corners, so technically, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So technically, we want an uneven number. So, can we get an uneven number? So it'll skip that one, skip that one, skip that one, skip that one. Brilliant. So that's going to be that one, and then we're going to group our range, and we wanted to select like that, and then we do want to invert it again. But actually, if we do it this way, we can skip the invert, because we can offset it. Can we offset it? Let's view that one. Let's do offset by 1. Brilliant. We can remove that. And then there is orient along curves. That's all fine. Then we can try copy to points. And that is closer to what we want. But now this is too big. So we can just scale this down. There is a scale here somewhere. Let's remove one control here because this is just too many. Now I know it broke. But do not worry. We're going to zero that one out. I believe it's 19. No. Let's see which one it is. That one. And then going to scale to 0.15 maybe. Oh, that's the reason why. Put that there. And then we need to rotate again. So this is going to be maybe in this one. Yep, it's on that one. And then this is too big, so let's do 0.1, 0.125. Alright, so that works. And then for the sweep, we need to reduce the width. If we reduce the width, we can actually make it bigger, so that is brilliant. Because I was worried about it getting too big, too small. Sorry. 5. Can I do 2? No, I cannot do 2. 175. No. 17. No. Okay. 165. Probably. Brilliant. We've got that working. The only problem is if I then decide I want a different thickness, we've got a problem. But be that as it may. Quickly going to template this just to see what it's looking like scale-wise. Where we've just encountered our next problem, it's not following the angle of this, so we can probably adjust it. We can probably adjust it. Now this might break, but I just want to see whether the overall system works. So that's going to be roughly minus 13. More or less. Hi, Ask Motion, how are you? So right, we've got that. Oh, it's not working actually, because this one is flipped. The reason it's probably flipped is if we look at the point order, it's probably bonkers. Let's see. 0, 150, 0, 1, 2, 3. That is all in order. 30. Yep. The point numbers are weird. Probably also the normal direction, mind you. Let's see. Yep, it is that way. You'll see it goes perfectly around here up till there, and then it flips. So that's why that one stopped working. So let's go. And see if we can change something. So let's see, what do we want to change? Go around there, that is all good. It's definitely this corner here, and from what I can tell, it's not related to point numbers. Let's try. Use this a little bit more. That's not making a major difference. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Make sure you make the point out on the curve again and set as x-axis. Do x-axis and then we can zero out the transform. Right. So that is part of the problem, but my normals are still wonky. So let's see what we can do to fix that. Let us see what we can do to fix that. Do we need that up? We do need that up. Right, so we don't need P. Central previous edge. I'm basically just playing with settings at this point, just to see if I can adjust it. So that moved the problem to those areas. Nope. Nope. Attributes is not a solution either. I wonder why it's being so wonky, because in theory it should work fine. In theory. But Houdini and theory doesn't necessarily go together. Because if we look at the normals, over here, where is it? It should in theory all be facing the same direction. In theory. But it's being an absolute menace today. And does not want to face the same direction. I wonder if we create a consistent normal before this. Let's try that. Now this will probably not work, but let's just see what we get. So this is going to be N. It's going to be N, and this is going to be okay, that's it. Do 1, add 1. Right. So that faces that direction. I don't really want it. I want to face it up. So actually, let's do that way. Brilliant. Then we do the orient along curve. transform using point attribute, curve normal. That's probably not going to work, is it? I was so optimistic. I was so optimistic. If we turn that off, that breaks again. I recently started learning Houdini. Well done for trying to learn it. Houdini is intimidating and it's actually very hard to live demo. So fun fact for that. But it's a lot of fun and I think it's a valuable skill to have. So, let's see what we can do. What if we put this as out? Why not? No. And if we switch the up around. Nope. Okay, back was locked. That's a waste of time, but anyway, we tried it. Good luck. Thank you. I'm gonna need all the luck I can get. This has been an interesting experience today. This is one of those days where everything just decides it wants to go wrong. And I'm not necessarily sure why it's going wrong. So yeah, that normal, we're gonna avoid that because that's not really doing anything. I've actually broken more things than I thought because it's now actually going that way and that way. What else did I break? That's fine, that's fine. Let's get a new orange. Why not? Why not do that? But do you want this to technically be that way around? The weirdest thing is, it's not consistent either. Because if we look at the orange long curve I have here, oh, it is consistent. It's not. It's not giving me the same information because that's also set to curve normal. Those settings are all the same. Oh, but I have the apply roll twist on it as well. Right. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna leave it there and just see whether we can get the rest of the things working. Let's just see if we can get the Boolean working, whether I actually like the shape of things, because I'm spending so much time trying to get this thing to work as I want it to that I'm not getting to the actual fun part. So that was negative 13. I believe. Brilliant. And we're going to ignore the one side that doesn't work. It does not exist. If you guys maybe need to place a polypath to unite the curve. We can try that. We can try that. Orange long curve. Probably 4. Let's do a polypath. You're right again. That's it. I think you need to be doing the streaming. At this rate, you know far more than me. I think you should be doing the streaming instead of me. Right, so that's going to be the copy to points, etc., etc. And then we can finally do a Boolean. So that is going to be a Boolean, and I want it to subtract. So that's going to be that. One surface, and then the other surface is this one. You want to before the copy? I'll do a cleanup in a second because I've got an absolute nightmare of it there. That should be solid versus. we want to subtract? Do we want maybe union? Let's see what we've got here. So that works. I've still got a template, so that's not helping. So that is all good. Should be surface, probably. Surface, let's try subtract, reverse that. Solid. Interesting. Well, we know union works, so let's just keep it at union for now. So that's all well and good. Let's see what we've got to work with here. So we can now do. It is brilliant, and I'm very thankful for everyone that's been helping me along the way. Right, so that is that, and then we can technically. What is this? It's that. I don't know why there's a merge here. But let's view the bottom. Let's view the bottom. Let's just see if everything works. It does. It does. It does work. I don't like that it's getting cut off, but it does work. Right. We're losing half of it though. Why are we losing half of it? Oh, haven't copied it. So let's actually put that one into the boolean. No, can't do that. The reason we can't do that is because we've only created the button from the top. We've not mirrored it or copied. Okay. So what we're going to do, instead of doing that, we're going to merge it after the boolean. We're really going to need, by we're, I mean I'm going to need to clean up this network, but just for the sake of argument, let's just get everything working for now. So that's going to there, that's going to there, that gives us, no, we can't do that, can't do that. Actually, instead of doing the merge, let's get rid of those. We're just going to plug this into that. In theory. Hello, where'd you went? What have I broken? I need the rest of the boolean. So that's going to be that one. Put that into there. Brilliant. Brilliant. That is working. And then that's popping to that. That is fine. And then I don't know why there's a merge here, but we'll find out. And then let's see. Control. Brilliant. We've got the top and bottom. Everything is working. And that is working too. We found we lost our ornaments though. Not sure why. It's upside down. Never mind. We've not lost our ornaments. I've just not added any to the bottom. So that is all well and good. Again, I'm not quite happy with this clipping through. We can probably adjust that at some point, but I'm not too concerned. I'm not too concerned. So what I think I'll be doing is I'm quickly going to organize the utter chaos that is this area. Because, yeah. So the line we do need, the attribute and we do need, the resample we do need, the curve we do need, the mirrors all fine, curve from edges all good, transform is rotating but not by much. I'm fine with 90-degree rotation. So that is working. The match size we also need, so I'm just going to quickly grab these and put them inside the network. So this is the pedestal pattern, so that is fine. It's the pedestal itself. Right. So pattern placement. This is the group. So I believe this for this, yeah, okay, this is a selection for the edge we're actually copying to. We do need the curve from edges, so that I'm going to copy to there. We do need the sample, so that can also go into there. Fuse. I'm actually not sure whether we need the fuse, so let's avoid that for a second. I might regret that. No, we do need the fuse. Okay, so we'll keep the fuse, the group range we need the pot off, we need everything else. Brilliant. Brilliant. So we can pop that into there and pop these into there. Alright. We do not need that to be connected, so that's all well and good. What we could potentially look at doing is instead of having 3 instead, could probably adjust the placement of these a little bit. Little problem. Focus. focus. Right, so the copy to point, I do want this to kind of go into the center. So let's keep that there. So that's copy to the point, and then we've got the boolean. Boolean, that's fine. So what I'm actually going to do, just to keep it more organized, I'm going to flip these around. So I'm going to grab this one, put that side, because you'll notice in the copy to point, it's just the wrong way around. And I don't like when my wires get crossed. I'll fix that on the boolean as well. So what I'll do, actually that's probably fine. Let's keep that as is. And then we do need the copy and transform, so that's fine. The merge, as far as I can tell, is doing nothing, so I'm going to leave that. So we've got that. Pedestal's fine. We can probably add a box for these. And this is placement and boolean. Right, fantastic. Got that working. These are all connected up. Right. Now the next thing I made note of is the fact that the roof is determined at the moment by the height of the overall original cylinder, which is all the way over here. So this is currently what's determining the placement of the roof. But the problem is, because we've got a pedestal, part of the roof is getting sunken into it. Which means if I go and adjust the control up here, which adjusts the extrude amount on the actual roof, it goes through the I lie. It does not go through. Apparently I fixed it without knowing what I broke. So this is now no longer an issue. I know it is an issue. I lie again. So it's the rooftop is fine. It's the bottom that's the problem. So let's see. Where am I placing the roof? So that is the ornament. So that's fine. It's down here. Right. So why did I do a transform here? Rotate, and that's not actually translating anything. Point. It's not that one. Unless the other one is this one. But that's on top. Bottom. Oh, it's just rotating. It's just rotating. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab the height of the pedestal. I might regret this, but let's see. And I'm going to paste this into the Z. So that's going to be page relative reference, and that's going to be, that's going up. let's set that to front view just so I can see what that's doing. So that's going to be times 2. -2. Just quickly see what it's doing. Brilliant. I'm going to do it slightly less than 1 though, because that is slightly raised, and I do want to sink it just a tiny bit in there. So let's do, not, yeah, 0.9 maybe? 0.9. Brilliant. Now the big question is whether this still works when I actually adjust the pedestal height. Yeah, it does. The only part that doesn't work is my ornaments break, but I mean, that's not too much of a train wreck. So let's quickly adjust that extrude because I do not actually want it that thick. I just want some control over it. So let's reduce that to maybe, I don't know, that much. Let's do that much. And then that's going to be perspective. Fantastic. That was at least quicker to fix than the rest. Right, so we've got that. That is all working. Regarding the ornament breaking, what we can do is we do a match size on the height. Possibly. Let's do a match size on the height. I just want to see what that does. So that's going to be match size. This might not work at all, but it could work, and if it works, I'll be very happy. So let's do match size. If I can again type, let's match size, and that's going to be at some point. So that is, oh, I flipped it around, that's why. So that's going to be 2 match sizes after each other, which is not quite ideal, but we'll make it. Or do we want it before the sweep? Probably before the sweep, because otherwise it'll scale the sweep in a weird way. So let's do that. Flip that around that way, and then for the boundary region, we want about this time, about this size. So we don't want it to move. We want it to scale. We want it to scale, not scale to fit, I think. And that'll be Y, I think. Not Y. Not X. Not Z. Base width perimeter area. See what this is doing. That scales up, and I don't want it to go scale to the side and to the top. Well, that's annoying. X scales in every direction. Y scales to the side and up. Z. Oh. Set uniform. Okay, so that's going to be, we only want to scale on the z-axis actually, depending. Ha, got it. Right, so in theory, if I did that correctly, it does work, but the orientation breaks. So it does scale, which is part of it. But the orientation is completely destroyed at that point. Let me just see what I'm doing with the actual orientation. So from what I understand, the orientation was a manual attachment, possibly. So let's see what's going on there. And that's going to be on the copy to points. Target was no point attribute transfer. Okay. Our problem is as it moves, it's getting too sharp. And the problem of scaling it, it also just makes my pattern look bad. I wonder if we leave that scaling. Because as long as it stays functional, I don't really care so much about the height of it. So let's quickly avoid that. I just want to see what it's actually doing. But from what I recall, it was also breaking when I did that. So let's see. Yep, it was. Let's see. Perspective, and then yeah, but we're definitely going to have to implement some form of scaling. So it does stay in the center, but the orientation goes wonky, very wonky. What was this say? That probably at 2. But then the question is, do we actually need to be able to scale the pedestal? Because I think that is a okay height for most types. So we could, in theory, leave it as is, remove the control for the pedestal, and then just control the height from the actual height control. Because at some point, fun fact, at some point the top of the roof breaks as well, if we scale it too much. So yeah, I think actually we're going to remove the control from the pedestal. Though, having said that, the roof is referencing that, so if I do that, that's going to break. I wonder if I can block it. Lock parameter. It's now locked. Nobody can adjust it, not even me. Okay, so instead of removing it, I'm locking it just because the roof and the floor, well, the roof, but also on the floor, will break. So that's fine. The next thing I could probably look at, or which I would want to look at, is the tops of these. So let's see, how are these getting placed? Because I do want them on the bottom as well. I do want them on the bottom as well. So let's see, copy to points. That's a spear. We're not too worried about the okay. So where is this reference coming from? Target points to copy to, go up. It's referencing the top of these. I want the same in the reverse. The reason I don't want to select them all at once is I want the orientation to be facing the right way. We can quickly take a look at the normals on this. And the normals are facing outwards. Yeah, let's just create another one. Because we do want the option of not using both of them. So you can actually invert the group. No need to create another group. Invert. Group invert, and it's going to be point. Group name is, maybe we can search for it, not search for it, but let's do that. And that's going to be the bottom. Brilliant. Bottom, all well and good. And then we can copy to those points as well. Now there's a possibility that it will be flipped the wrong way. Yep, it is. So let's create a separate one for that. I don't like doubling up, but we're going to double up. So that's going to be like that. Instead of doing that, we're going to do bottom remove those, and then we'll need to transform them, flip them upside down probably. Probably. So just copy, multiply, point. Yeah, I'm not going to bother coding that in. So let's do a transform. And that's going to be 180. Hello. Numlock, can you be on? Right. Okay, numlock is back and functional, so we can work with that. Right, copy to points, that is working. We want to merge it all together. Brilliant. Now I've got ornaments on the top and the bottom. I could argue and say these ornaments are too tall though. I think they're too tall. Let's go to our control and adjust that. So that's going to be ornament size. Shrink that down a little bit. And at this point we can also kind of start adjusting things because this is still very close to the original reference. Almost too close for my taste. So what I'm going to do is go and start adjusting things. So that's going to be rooftop first. And I think I want to adjust the profile for this. So let's have some fun. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. But that's half the fun. I suspect I don't have enough resolution for what I'm trying to do. And it's also not tall enough. So, let's see, do I adjust the height here? No, do not. So, scrap that, and then we can adjust the height. No, roof height. I've broken my roof height. When did I do that? Okay, copyright parameter. And that's going to be... I changed the naming. Be careful of changing naming on things, because you might break stuff. So, let's do that, and page relative reference. That's the wrong one. That is the wrong one. Let's do C. That's that one. Is there a transform among this? There is, but way down. So let's actually do it in line height. Brilliant. Now we can play with this a little bit more. I will say that I think the resolution is too low for what we were doing, so let's increase that a little bit, just so we have more to work with. And then we can start playing around, see what we can get. What I also want to do is I'm gonna need a lot of resolution for what I'm actually trying to do here. So let's increase more. That's going to be, let's do 24. And then we can kind of start playing with more. I'll move this further up. Maybe these two backwards. Possibly. Maybe not that much. Into the center. No. Let's do maybe something like that. It's very fun to play with. Alright, so that's looking interesting. I'm not sure whether I like it or not, but it is interesting. I'll give it that. So, let's do maybe something like that. Oh, no, undo that. And then I'm going to move this a little bit up so that it's not quite so constant. And then let's see what we can do here. These should probably move a bit down. No, just want that one. Okay, that's quite fun. I do think it's going a bit too far down there. Or inwards in this area. Possibly. I think that is slightly better. Possibly. Then we can go slightly more in here. Slightly more fluffed up there. And we've got a more interesting roof. And then, let's see, what else do I want to adjust? That is all well and good. This is all well and good. I wanted to see what the poly count is in this. So let's see, info. Primitive, 60,000. How is that possible that there's 60,000 polygons in this thing? There's probably a lot in the movement. Probably. And then there's loads in those. So let's reduce that a little bit. Actually, we can kind of start to see where the primitives are coming from. 20,000. Almost can't believe that there's 20,000 in this section here. Right, so let's resample that. That is the pedestal pattern, and that is going to be at the resample point probably. No, not there. It's going to be at the number of segments. Let's see what it's doing at the sweep. 176, just these little ones. Well, you'd probably bake them on for a low poly anyway. You'd probably bake them on, so I should probably not worry about that too much. But that is better. That's around 11,000 for what it's worth. There's probably there's probably some info that's coming in there that's not really doing much of anything. But okay, I'm relatively satisfied. I've added stuff to it. I've struggled a lot, but I've also had a lot of help along the way. And I think we're gonna leave that there for today. So bye guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.